think we are live currently with special guest Parker Hines.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's make sure you're in the view. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So, all right. So yeah, special guest Parker Hines here today.
Sure.
Idea man extraordinaire. So what we're doing is we're gonna do a little design for vinyl theater, and so we'll walk through the process as we're doing it. And since Parker here helped a lot with the idea section of it,
You have to log in.
we're gonna discuss the ideas behind kind of what we're doing. So the very first thing we did is we went online and we just searched vinyl theater and pulled up some of their colors. So let's start by doing that. So vinyl theater, because we know that they have 4 colors that they kind of use. There they are. So we're gonna start by just copying this, dropping it in, and then we'll use this to help us with our colors. Let's try
Not
that
bad.
again.
Whoops.
Whoops. All right.
Botched it.
Alright, here we go. So
I don't know how to work this.
yeah, the other thing too is as I'm designing, Parker's gonna be checking the comments section and
Well, maybe.
checking the comment section to see what's going on, what people are saying,
It's
what
like-
questions you're asking.
That's what I'm getting hit with right now.
Doesn't appear to be a whole lot there right now. Okay, so right now, currently, just gonna grab these colors. I'm using the eyedropper tool for these colors, so we can literally just sample straight from there.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, so now we have our colors here, and we can get
Palette.
rid of this picture. Cool. So the big thing is, we sat down and we basically thought, what can we do with these colors?
I was sure thinking it.
Yeah, Parker was thinking, what can we do with these colors? So Parker came up with an idea with what we should do. So you can hit him with that.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember what it was.
It's the spotlights. I
It was the
believe.
spotlights.
Yeah. So the idea was, what if we did each color as a spotlight? Do you have any insight onto that idea whatsoever? What you're thinking of?
No, I don't know.
I'd say,
Well, I know you wanted to use the 4 colors in it.
right.
I saw 4 colors of light. Mix
Yeah.
it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I think a big thing with ideas, since this is kind of an idea-centered episode, is that ideas come from anywhere and everywhere, not necessarily just from other designs. For example, one other idea Parker's thrown at me was an idea he got from looking at sagebrush for sage.
Right.
So
Right.
the thing is, design ideas can kind of come from anywhere. It doesn't necessarily need to specifically come from other design inspiration. In
Right.
fact, I would say stay away from design inspiration and look kind of in nature and elsewhere for better ideas necessarily. So one thing is, I don't like this yellow. So let's go in here and just
You don't like it?
maybe-
Not a fan?
let's bring that. I want to saturate it just a smidgen more. Like that a lot better. I think it'll flow better with the other colors. So let's start with the spotlights, all right? And we're just gonna start with super basic,
Oh, yeah, it sure does. pop
real
up on that.
basic
Yeah.
spotlights. Yeah. Okay, so
Just got a text from Morgan.
we got the comment section working. So anyone that has questions, please throw the questions our way. We'll be happy to answer anything. It's an idea-centered episode, but we'll be happy to really answer about anything. So, starting off, these are going to be our 4 spotlights. Let's grab the colors.
I think it was kind of a sham when you said that the chat was working because the live stream is working.
Live stream's working, chat
But the
may
chat's
not.
still loading.
Still send your
Can you see
questions
it on
in.
here?
We can check in here in Twitch. Twitch really quick. See if
I don't know if it's just not working on my phone.
we're taking a brief interruption to see if yeah, there we go. Chat's working, so we're doing good.
I can't see it.
Here we go. Okay, so these are gonna essentially be our 4 spotlights. So one thought is we can have the spotlights intersect each other. Second thought is
Sure.
I don't know. That's just the initial idea. And my thought process is this box kind of represents the print area of our shirt. Maybe we have the spotlights do something like this type of thing. Just to create a box, but that might be weird, so we might have to play around with it. So again, these are going to be our 4 spotlights, and this is our print area. So we were looking at a way to rearrange the spotlights. That's a little funky. Let's step back. So my next idea is I did an ad mat design for a festival in Chicago called Chicago Open Air. And what I did is I had eyes shooting out laser beams, and the laser beams intersected and kind of built the square. So maybe let's build some eyes off to the side here, and then we'll have the eyes kind of acting as the spotlights, and that might work out pretty cool.
Good.
We got the idea man's approval on this.
Bam.
All right, so as I'm building these eyes here, one of the things with Parker is I would say I come to him all the time with the question of, do you have an idea for this, or do you have an idea for that?
And I'm dog shit.
He's pretty great at ideas, and that's why I come to him. So here's our eye. Maybe let's tweak it around a little bit.
Right.
Maybe it's a nice looking eye. Pretty basic. And let's just move it over on into there. We're gonna put it behind.
Hey Tucker, do you have a Wi-Fi password?
No, don't have it.
Do
not have it.
He doesn't have it.
Where's the group?
And we're going to duplicate this across. Sorry, let's try that again. We're going to duplicate this across. And we're going to do it for all 4, and then we'll have 4 eyes, and then maybe we can arrange them differently from there. Keep not grabbing that iris right there. Okay.
That iris.
So, here we go. Here's 4 eyes. Maybe let's stretch these down a bit more. Okay, so here's 4 eyes shooting out laser beams, essentially.
Man, this Twitch app is some buns.
We're still having trouble with the Twitch app. We are still sending your comments, but we might not be able to read them. We're having a bit of an issue.
Bit of a snag.
Okay, so let's see. Let's do this pink. Let's do this one blue. That one will leave orange, and then this last one will be yellow. So, that looks pretty good right there.
Yeah.
I would say we have the shape of the eyes is a little bit weird. I think I'm gonna select all of them and maybe make them narrower, even though I made them fatter.
Yeah.
Okay. So now with this, let's go ahead and make this slightly smaller. And I think that shape in general is better, but we're also going to have to replace each one of these.
Alright, we're going to try it on your phone. Since you're with the
Okay, so what we're doing is just reshaping the eyes right now, and
yeah, it definitely looks better.
so that shape's a little bit better. Let's go back and make sure we get those colors in there again. orange, and yellow. So, okay. So again, they have 4 colors, 4 members. The idea was do a spotlight. This is kind of eyes shooting a spotlight out of them. Spotlight, laser beam type thing. These are also going to need to be the same size. So let's make sure we get those in.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's where we're at with it right now. So one thing we can look at is we could widen these a bit if we wanted to, and give them some overlap, which could be cool, it could be not cool. Let's just see what it looks like first. Alright, so here's with a little bit of overlap. It's cool, it's a unique look. We could do a thing where they cross is maybe white. We can see what that looks like real quick. Might not do much though. There's that type of thing. It might have looked a little bit better where we had it before, possibly. So let's step back. And again, keeping in mind, our idea is just spotlights, and that's what we're going off of. We're going off of spotlights, and we have the 4 colors to work with. And what I'm going to do right now is I see the logo and name need to go in here somewhere. So let's quickly just make that a little bit smaller so there's a little bit more room up there. Definitely these skinny spotlights look better, and as I'm looking at it, something's going to have to be done with these because just big old blocks of color aren't going to necessarily look good. Let's go. Let's type in, let's get a little logo going for them here. So they do have a set logo and set typography.
It's true.
Okay. So what we're going to be using is that. Okay. So let's pull this up into here. Let's go with blue as a color for right now. May change that. But just to start with, there's that. Vinyl should be a little bit thinner. No, we'll leave it like that. Their logo is going to be this triangle. And then this little T-shaped thing they have going on, which is just going to be... And like that. So now we've got the Vinyl Theater logo. We're going to merge it together because actually this T part should be a little bit higher. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to merge it together. So that way we can put it in a box like this and we can actually separate it. We can kind of knock it out of the box. I made the box a different color just so I can distinguish between the two, just like that. But now we can kind of distinguish between the box and what's going to get knocked out of the box. So if we highlight the whole thing and we use the Pathfinder over here and punch it out, boom, there's our logo. We're going to drop this right up next to the words Vinyl Theater.
Well, would you look at that?
And let's zoom in and get this. That should be about there. Let's move these two into each other a bit. We're looking pretty.
We're sitting pretty.
Yeah, we're sitting pretty for sure. So the next big thing, I think the word Vinyl Theater needs a little bit like, let's go like 50. There we go. So that's a little bit more closer to their typography they use. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at where we're at now. We're right here. It's looking pretty decent. Maybe this could use a little bit more breathing room, like that. Here's how we're sitting right now. So then one other option that quickly comes to mind is maybe we make that white. stands out, but I like the blue a little bit better. I think the blue is just going to look nicer. We'll roll through the colors real quick, but I think blue seems to be what's going to look the best. Pink's not bad, actually.
Pink's cool.
Blue. Something about blue just kind of draws me in the most. I'm just going to change that block, too. That's right. Yeah, we'll step back to blue. That seems to be working the best for this design. So here's where we're at currently. This was built with obviously triangles, circles, ellipses, and we built the logo. We got vinyl theater. So the next big thing is, keep in mind this is going to be a shirt design. So
We'll keep that in mind.
Two big things that I'm going to look at right now is one, if we were to drag this over, you'd see that those irises should be knocked out because this is going to essentially be transparent. So let's start by doing this. Let's knock that. Sorry, let's try that again. Let's knock that out of that. And then,
what are you doing?
So, great question. So what we're doing is I'm essentially making it so that center part's invisible like that.
Gotcha.
That way, when it's printed on a black t-shirt, that black doesn't need to be printed. And I can do it for every eye, but since I did it for one eye, we can just duplicate it across to every single eye. And then just recolor them. That's going to be the fastest way to get it done. So now,
we're going for efficiency.
Yeah, because you got to keep in mind, when working with bands, you're probably going to send off 4, 5, 6 different designs, have them pick and choose from there. So what's going to need to happen is that you can make these as fast as possible. Okay, and again, if there's any questions about what's going on, please send those in. We will get back to you.
Maybe.
We'll get back to you. It's a good opportunity to ask questions. We've got Parker in the house, who's he's helped with so many of the ideas I've created. And I know a lot of people like to ask, where do the ideas come from? So he's going to be the good person to talk to about this. Okay.
Well, that's a little strong-handed.
He's going to be a good person to talk to about where the ideas come from.
I'm going to be a person.
Yeah. All right. So, here we go. Here is vinyl theater, and we're pretty much in good shape on this design. So I think let's move it over into Photoshop so we can play around with making those chunks a little bit not as abrupt. So we're gonna paste it into Illustrator, and let's
into Photoshop.
Good. That's why I have you here. Paste it into Photoshop. So here we go. Now it's in Photoshop. So the big thing is this could be a t-shirt design as is.
A little clunky.
Yeah, it's a little clunky. It's blocky.
Some clunk on there.
It's maybe a little modern art looking. Let's break these up right here. That's going to be the big thing.
Yeah.
So actually what I'm going to do, we're going to open a new, there's one thing we could do. We could just texture it. Could look okay. However, because of this style of design, I don't necessarily think texturing is going to look fantastic. Let's just give it a quick dirty texture though, just to give us an idea of what it's going to look like. Alright, so if we go in real quickly, just give it this, there's kind of an idea of what some texturing for this design could look like. Nothing too crazy, obviously, and it breaks the chunks up. Doesn't break them up incredibly nice looking.
Not drastic enough.
The second idea is maybe we make a thing where we have some blocks and they kind of break up a little bit of.
Okay, I like it.
So they kind of work like that to break it up a little bit. Looks a little interesting. Still not quite what we're looking for. So this other idea I have right here is we could have it fade into the bottom. So just to give an idea of what that fade into the bottom is going to look like, it would essentially be something like this type deal here, which is cool, and that's cool as it is like that. But I'm thinking maybe we do a pretty rough looking fade and do it in the terms of halftone. So this is going to be a little trick right here. What we're going to do is we're going to go into a new document.
Sure.
And this is going to be kind of a lesson into, I guess, creating halftone textures.
What does that mean?
So halftone is like kind of, if you look at comic books or stuff that was printed in the old days, it's shading that's made using dots. So like heavier dots are darker shadows, lighter, smaller dots are less shadows. So we're going to create this gradient, which is going to be, this right here will be our kind of shading, you know, it'll be black at the bottom and fade in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a halftone. So we're going to go, first thing we're going to change this to grayscale. It's already black and white, so it doesn't matter, but it needs to be in grayscale, because once it's in grayscale, then we have the option to change it to a bitmap. We can flatten the layers. We want to output it at 300 pixels per inch. We'll talk another time about resolution, but for now, let's just say leave everything you do at 300 pixels per inch. That's the good thing to do. Halftone screen. These are a bunch of different other things that are cool, but not necessary for halftones. We're going to halftone okay. Frequency 20, angle 45, round. You want them round, but you can do square, line, cross, all that other stuff. Frequency 20 is obviously like how many you'll have, and the angle 45, if they were like 90, the dots would be stacked, but at 45 they're kind of staggered in a zigzag. So we're gonna hit OK, and boom, look at that, got a nice halftone pattern right there. So let's make it grayscale, size ratio 1:1. Let's bring it back into RGB. Let's bring it back into CMYK, because it's going to be printed for a shirt.
That's a band, isn't it?
And possibly. Could be a band. Someone comment, let us know. CMYK, because it's going to be printed. It's alright, and then we're going to drag it back over into our other document, and and it looks like we have a halftone screen over it, which is not necessarily what we wanted. But we're going to go and select this white area up here. Select similar, which will kind of select the whole mesh. Gives it that looks crazy. Yeah, look at that. And then
is it moving, or
boom,
is that just like,
we delete it.
That was trippy looking.
We'll step back at that for a second. Look at that. We created a GIF for Vinyl Theater.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. Now it's like that. Okay.
It's a little heavy on the.
It's pretty heavy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna shrink it.
Yeah.
We're gonna shrink it a bit.
Sure.
And then maybe we might even have to shrink it more. But as we start, we're gonna have to shrink it more. But as we start moving it down, now that's a pretty abrupt stop right there, and I kind of wanted it to fade a little bit more. So let's step back over here, and we're going to repeat the process, but keep in mind we want it pretty white at the top this time, because that's going to be where our fade comes from. So it's a pretty abrupt fade again. Okay, let's play around with this for a second.
Yeah. Because
the thing is that we don't want that abrupt end, which is what it gives us currently. Let's do a white background. And we're just kind of playing around as we go. We don't necessarily have the final outcome in mind. We're just going to see what happens. And okay. Hopefully that's a little bit less abrupt. It still looks a little bit abrupt. Let's see. Yeah. Let's try this out. Sorry, just playing around again. Okay, that's a lot nicer of a fade right there. So let's do that. And this, hopefully, we're going to repeat the same halftone process, but we'll give us a nicer looking fade. So grayscale, merge, it doesn't matter.
It don't matter.
bitmap, all the settings will be the same, so we'll just click through that real quick. Okay, now it's got a little bit nicer of a halftone up there. Okay, still maybe not the ideal halftone. We'll drag it in and see. And really what we're just looking for is a nice kind of gentle fade. So let's bring this back in. Select the white, select similar, select all the whites. I delete it, and we're left with just the black. Okay, now see, this is gonna give us a lot nicer of a fade in. Now, see, okay, so now what we're working with, a lot nicer looking thing. And I'm kind of thinking we can maybe even make this a little bigger if we wanted to. It's kind of an interesting appeal to it. So leave it right about there. It's much less abrupt than it was before. We could even kind of have it like that. So what it does is now it's kind of creates this look where it kind of diffuses out as it gets lower. If I wanted this even lighter up here and darker down here, the thing I do is when I go back into here and I create my initial gradients, I'm maybe just going to double up on the gradient. And sorry, I need an opaque gradient like this one, and then just give it a little bit darker down there, and then maybe put like a white gradient on top type of thing. Like, sorry, this may seem confusing. What I'm doing is I'm putting down a single gradient, and then I'm going to put down an opaque gradient over the top.
I'm sure confused.
Yeah. So I'm putting down an opaque gradient over the top. Give it a little bit more dark towards the bottom and a little bit whiter towards the top. We're not going to go through the whole process of half-toning again, but that's how I could play around with it essentially. So the last big thing is on this, we're going to select the area. Sorry, let's see what's going on with this. Okay, so we're going to select the area that the halftone's not. We're going to select similar, and then we're going to select the inverse. So now we're selecting all these black little dots right there. And then we're going to go down to this layer. We're going to go layer, layer mask, and we're going to reveal the selection, hide the selection. We're going to hide the selection. Boom. Okay. So now the way this is if we look at it, it's basically hopefully going to be basically print ready. We need this, obviously this little, I put a little bit of a stroke on these two words, which isn't good typography, but I did it anyways to get a different look. And if I could grab that black, which got it. Select similar, delete, and there we go. So now it's a print ready shirt. If you see, obviously this is our shirt right here. Here's the graphics. Printer can go in and color separate it. We could color separate it. We're not going to for sake of time. And I've done that in past tutorials. You can go find it online. So it's print ready. And I'd call it good. I like it. It's in the shape of a print area for a shirt. Vertical rectangles look good.